Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm Catherine, and welcome to the first session of today. So basically, it's a pleasure to be here and that I'm excited to share some of the new directions that we have when we're envisioning the future of DSM. But before we dive into what's coming next, I'd like to take a step back and talk about the journey that has brought us here. This year is it's special year to Synology because we are moving into a new milestone. This is where DSM is turning 20 years old. So when we look at these past 20 years, DSM has never stand still. It has evolved itself from a storage operating system now all the way to a platform that not only supports businesses with storage, but also data protection, productivity, surveillance, and even nowadays, AI operations. And to put that evolution into perspective, to date, Synology has shipped over 14 million systems worldwide. And that makes it one of the most powerful on-premises data platforms in the world, managing over 400 exabytes worth of data. And beyond that scale, it really just reflects how rapid the world's data footprint is still generating year after year. And if we look back at DSM's role over the years, it has really reflected on a couple of major technological waves. Because in the industry, we roughly see every 5 years, there will be an architectural shift. So previously, we used to focus a lot on digital centralization and some period of connectivity. And then now, from hybrid infrastructure, we are now continuously focusing on resilience nowadays. So it's all keeping us wondering what would the next 5 years look like. So looking ahead, we are seeing 4 major forces shaping today's enterprise infrastructure. And so not only organizations are generating even more data than ever, but they're also paying close attention to how that data is governed, where it is living, and then how resilient it is when it comes to today's cybersecurity extremes. So, and of course, there's AI, as we all know. So we see enterprises rushing into experimenting AI. But from our perspective, the most important thing about this is how ready your infrastructure is to embrace AI. So zooming in on DSM, we believe DSM has a very important role to play when it comes to being that foundational layer, that infrastructure layer to support businesses to embrace the power of AI. And what that really means is that DSM will no longer be just built for human users. It will be built to be that interconnectivity to the broader AI environment, including AI agents. So that brings us to today's theme, really. The next generation of DSM will have 2 major pillars centered to its core, and that is AI ready and enterprise ready. So let me dive into what exciting things we have prepared for these 2 areas. So let's start with AI ready. So the first thing you might think about when you see the sentence is probably AI models, AI applications. But from our perspective, it really is about the infrastructure underneath AI. So the challenge nowadays is no longer how much AI productivity tools organizations are using. It's how trustworthy and how ready your infrastructure is to embrace AI for intelligence. And so when we look at how organizations are coping with AI transformation, the journey that we see, we don't see them become fully AI-driven overnight. It's a gradual journey. So it starts from the simplest and most straightforward scenarios in stage 1, where they start using AI productivity tools. And then it comes to stage 2, when they start realizing the real potential of the data that they own. They want to change that into business insights and even intelligence. And then we get to this 3rd stage, which is where we see AI completely emerges into everyday workflows under the enterprise environments. So each stage seems pretty straightforward, right? But actually, we need to consider a lot of infrastructure and security consideration every step of the way. So the next generation of DSM is really about that, helping organizations to conquer every stage of the way. So let's start with the first stage, AI powered productivity tools. So over the past few years, Synology has continuously been bringing generative AI features into our productivity suite across our Office and Mail Plus, but we're not just stopping there. And within the next year, we are introducing even more AI features to the rest of the applications, including Drive and our on-premises communication platform, Chat Plus, and Meet. So we believe with our on-premises roots, this Synology Office Suite will become a trustworthy local AI productivity hub for businesses. And you will find these AI capabilities all integrated into the entire suite. So from content generation or to email writing assistant. And then the third one is my personal favorite, natural language formula search, that we can basically search through Excel formulas. And then last but not least, we even have AI experience in our conference call platform like Meet and Chat Plus, where you would get AI translated subtitles and even audio experiences. But we all know that productivity suite is only the first stage. So when it comes to the second stage is how we can transform the data that we own into intelligence, right? But for data to become intelligence, it doesn't just come from any sort of data. It comes from specifically unstructured data. And thankfully, according to a lot of research, 90% of the data enterprises own falls under this category. So contents that you can think of, such as slides, documents, videos, audios, this can all be potential sources to convert that into intelligence. But for that to be transformed into intelligence by AI, there's a very critical step involved, and that is called embedding. So in simple terms, embedding basically transforms the mentioned content categories into a format that AI can search and understand. So for example, once we have all the unstructured data embedded, AI can help us surface information or collect information based on the sort of contents. So that's why DSM supports multiple local AI model types, including text, speech-to-text, image captioning, and OCR models. So together, we believe these are powerful tools that organizations can leverage to help transform their data into intelligence. All right, so instead of going through all the features that I just mentioned, in the next live demo, I am going to show you how Synology's productivity suite, as well as the power of embedding, all comes to life in a daily scenario of mine. Right, so let's switch to the demo interface. Okay. So this interface, what you're looking at is Synology Chat Plus. This is Synology's on-premises communication platform that our teams use for daily communication. So in today's scenario, I'm going to take you on a daily routine that I have with subsidiaries. So I'm going to be collaborating with my Spanish colleague, Paula. So in this routine, she usually will let me know what sort of events that are coming up on her end and what support I can give her. So as you can see, this is the the group chat that Paula and I are already in. And oh, it seems like Paula is online. And she has just sent me a message, but in Spanish. No, not to worry, because in Chat Plus, we have a built-in translation tool that we can enable right here. So once I select on the language that I wanted to do, when we revisit the message threads, you can see all the foreign languages will get automatically transferred into English. So revisiting Paula's message, today, she is letting me know that she's organizing an event in Spain and would like to refer to my event. And she wants me to send over NAS models that I've used for the exhibition this month. Okay, so I collected the information. So let's move forward to finding that information for Paula. So the next demo that I'm going to do is show you how I can retrieve the file Paula needs within minutes with the power of embedding. So to find the file that Paula needs, I can basically come to my drive. But instead of going through a sea of folders, what I can do is I can leverage semantic search. So this is where embedding comes in, because it can allow me to use
natural language description to find a file that I maybe don't remember of the name. So this should be a very common challenge that everyone experiences on a daily basis. We can only remember some sort of description about the file, but we might not remember the entire thing or the name of it. So what I can do is that I can compile all the information I know about this file and let semantic search for me. So I remember the list of NAS models Paula requested me was an image. I remember it was in a slide that has maybe the name Computex, Synology in it. And I remember that's a slide created by me. So I can compile all that information into one sentence just like that. So I'm going to type Synology NAS. What else? Computex.
With Ian Gray.
And it was a slide and created by me. So I'm going to add that information in there as well. And let's see what semantic search will do. All right. Once I click on enter, semantic search will help me do the magic and the finding. So after a few seconds, it will basically help me search through a loads or sea of folders and help me find that very specific file that I need for the NAS model list. Okay, so just like that, semantic search not only filtered out some relevant information, but it's also smart enough to filter out the document type and the owner who owns it. So perfect. And so this is exactly the one file that I'm looking for. And with embedding, you can see that not only it gives me suggestions based on the keyword match, but also based on the understanding, it knows that I'm looking for relevant list regarding to the NAS models. And most importantly, because of image captioning, it also understands images. So it also filters out all the image-related results here. And just like that, it finds the exact image that I'm looking for. So once I find that, I can go ahead and quickly share it with Paula via email. To do so, I'm just going to quickly open it up just to copy the file link and then head straightwards to composing this follow-up email. And as I said, AI features exist everywhere in Productivity Suite. So including our Mail Plus, you can already see here, there's an AI assistant standing by waiting to write this email for me. So all I need to ask it to do, I can ask it to email Paula, and I can even ask it to reference a particular email thread that I've sent before. So for example, I've been sending marketing syncs with Paula, so I can easily ask the assistant to refer this as a template. And as you can see, once I enter this prompt, it will start generating that email draft and copying exactly what I've been sending Paula for months. So once that is reviewed, all I need to do is click on insert and then paste the file link just like that. This email is ready to go. And then if I really want to add that personal touch for Paula, since she lives in Spain and is Spanish, and all I need to do is I can even translate the entire email into Spanish just like that. So once that is all done, this is basically a recap of what existing and upcoming features that we are going to have in the Synology product suite. All right, so let's head back to the session because we got a lot on the agenda today.
So from the demo just now, you would imagine that all happening on maybe a third-party cloud service. But the entire AI demo that we just saw was actually run locally within enterprise environments. So today, our productivity suite already supports OpenAI compatible APIs. That means that organizations are already able to connect DSM with their own AI servers or external AI services. But this year, we are even taking another step further by introducing our GPU-enabled models. So for teams who are looking for a much simpler experience with kicking off with AI, Synology provides pre-integrated local models that are ready to deploy out of the box with minimal setup. And I will share a bit more about the GPU-enabled models in the later session. Okay, so now that we covered the first two stages, let's come to the last stage, which we call a agentic ecosystem. So this is where we start seeing workloads being executed or even automated by AI, and specifically by AI agents. So we see this AI agent adoption happening quite quickly. A lot of research already forecasts that 50% of the enterprises who are already using generative AI will be deploying an AI agent by 2027 as well. So to support this journey towards agentic AI, Synology is building a complete solution stack. So from the bottom GPU accelerated infrastructure to what we said about the models, the local models, and embedding, this will all help the foundation to build that infrastructure to help data become intelligence. And then we have the memory model, which gives AI contextual awareness. And then on top, tools and skills basically help connect AI with MCP, API, command lines, and even DSM workflows to make sure that the AI can not only read information, but start executing tasks as well. And then when all of those layers are tied together, this is when the agent layer appears. So no matter if it's a DSM agent, or an AI assistant, or even a third-party AI assistant organizations are already using, this is when it can come in and start coordinating across your entire DSM system. And of course, finally, at the top of the stack, we have built in a lot of data protection and governance mechanisms to make sure data privacy is throughout the entire process. I will share each of these layers in more details right away. So let's start with the infrastructure. Now, this is a sneak peek of the upcoming GPU accelerated NAS models that we will be introducing. The first one is the GPU-enabled Rackstation 26 series. It has the capability of running local LLMs around the 26B parameter scale. That means it can basically transform a NAS from simply storing data into running advanced AI workflows such as RAG pipelines or even local LLM AI assistants. And beyond that, we will be gradually introducing an even more powerful enterprise-grade platform, the AI Station. Now, the AI Station will be engineered to support models beyond the 100B parameter, meaning that not only it supports even more advanced AI workloads, but it also has the capability to share its own GPU resources with the existing NAS connected to it. So this would be a perfect option for enterprises who are looking for that centralized AI compute hub for their deployments. And now that rolls up to our biggest new addition to the ecosystem called the DSM agent. Now, the DSM agent is a built-in AI application that is built in directly into DSM ecosystem. And we have designed DSM agent to do much more than just conversational AI. At the very first stage of DSM agent, we have positioned it to be an on-demand AI consultant, meaning that users can now use natural language questions to ask it for troubleshooting or setup guidance or even operational advice. And then gradually when we move to 2.0 release, that's when we push it to its true agentic self. So instead of reading or surfacing information, it will start execute multi-step tasks across different DSM services for the user. And we're first of all excited to share that the DSM Agent 1.0 will start become available on DSM at the start of this month, early this June. Okay, and to make DSM agent valuable the minute it gets deployed, we have also preset a lot of skills around common IT scenarios already. So from daily operations to backup and disaster recovery, and to even security investigations as well. So the design logic behind all these preset skills is to identify all the manual or repetitive workflows that IT admins may have. So we want to make sure they can be streamlined and IT admins won't need to manually check across all applications for their daily workflows. And talking about the governance features. So to help organizations embrace AI, but while having full control over their data ownership and privacy, we have built in multiple protection mechanisms across every layer. So from access control to skills and tools permissions, and then to introducing guardrails for the entire AI journey, from input to action to output, and then also outbound de-identification and anonymization when using external AI services. So all these layers serves one purpose, again, to make sure data ownership and privacy is achieved throughout the entire process. Okay, so now that we got a brief idea of what DSM agent can do, in the next few demos, I'm going to show it how it comes to real life in accommodating some of the three major IT scenarios that teams may have. The first demo here, as I said, we have designed DSM agent to be that always available agent to users. So no matter if you're a DSM new user or if you're a well-experienced DSM player, the agent is there for you to fire away and answer with fast answers and on-point advice. So the first scenario I'd like you to imagine is this. An IT admin receives multiple account security login failure notifications in the morning. So the first thing the IT admin can come up to DSM, but okay, he can figure around the DSM to see what sort of places that he can go to. But when we have DSM agent, basically, this is the first place he can go to, because I can basically describe the situation in a natural language description. For example, with the situation just now, I can describe, okay, I received a few messages about failed login attempts. Where is the first place I can check? Once that prompt is on, agent will start evaluating the scenario. And most importantly, in the later response, you will find him giving out step-by-step guidances on where to go, what to tap. So now the response is ready. You can see that it's already asking the first place to look at. You should go to Log Center. It even tells me which tab to open. So it's asking me to go to Log Center, apply the connection tab, and here we have it. Here we have the log history of the exact security incident that we want to find out. And it doesn't just stop there. The user can come back to DSM agent and ask for further advice if he really doesn't want to think about it today. He can come over to DSM agent and see, okay, I see many logs. What should I do now? So again, DSM agent will start reacting to this prompt as well. But most importantly, what I want to highlight is that we equipped DSM agent with on-screen awareness. So you can see on-screen awareness is enabled at the very right bottom corner of the window. But what this does is that it basically recognizes what sort of windows and applications the user has opened. So in the later response, you realize the agent says, you're already in Log Center. And it even gives out a summary of what it's seeing based on the results in the application you opened. So not only it recognizes that, it also highlights a few things, including the source and patterns. And it also, because it notes it's a security event, it also gives us some hardening measures based on that scenario. Okay, and so that is the first how we position DSM Agent 1.0 to do. So that intelligent operational advisor. Okay, but we can take things even further with DSM Agent 2.0, and let me show you how. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but in the Log Center that we opened just now, there's a specific username that continuously, repetitively showed up on the Log Center, a specific username called Linda. And so in DSM Agent 2.0, what we can do is that we can basically ask the agent to investigate a specific user activity. So for example, once we gathered that, okay, Linda is the account that I want to further investigate, I can come to DSM 2.0 and check if Linda's account is normal. So a natural descriptive sentence like this, basically the agent will start evaluating for you. It shows all the thinking processes that it is now going through. And just like that, it has helped us highlighted few key signals to Linda's account, including connection details. It notices that the IP address is accessed from a public one, which shouldn't be. And then it also recognizes file activity statuses. So it shows that Linda somehow has accessed 1,500 files under 20 minutes. Don't think that's possible for any well-experienced DSM user. So it even gives us a conclusion of both of these indicates a potential anomaly. And then what's important is that it even asks us if we want to deactivate Linda's account right away. And before we click on yes, let's just check if Linda's account is really still up and normal. Yep, okay. So to help you have a grip of the comparison, let's come back to DSM agent and ask it to really deactivate Linda's account. So we can reply with a simple yes, and the DSM agent is working its magic already. So if we roll to the top, it tells us that, okay, Linda's account is successfully deactivated. Let's check, shall we? So let's come to Control Panel and the User tab again to see if Linda's account is actually deactivated. Indeed, it's now confirmed deactivated. And if we come back to DSM agent, now you can see it also gives out account security measures for the IT admin to reference to. And so this is all the features that are available on DSM that the IT admin might need to spend time looking through, but now it is all summarized by DSM as well. Okay, so that is the second scenario. Now, the third scenario that I would like you to imagine is a repetitive workflows that IT admins may have. So usually, at the start of every month, IT admins will need to generate what we call a storage overview report. So they might need to go through a lot of different tabs, including going through Storage Manager, including checking all the statuses using his Excel sheet, to maybe writing the report and email it into management team. So by listening to that sentence, there's almost 4 to 5 workflows included. So again, DSM agent can help automate that in just a prompt. So again, I'm going to compile all that into a prompt just like this. I want it to create a monthly workflow on the first day of each month, and I even specify which sources that I want it to check for me. And so just like that, once we enter this prompt, the DSM agent will start providing its thinking process. And you can see the entire thinking process is pretty transparent. It tells you what kind of skills, what kind of tools it's currently referring to. And so you can tell that it already recognizes it's a schedule workflow skill that it needs to refer to. And just like that, it has now listed step by step all the workflows that I just indicated. So IT admins will basically just need to check if this is the exact workflow that it wants DSM agent to execute, and again, reply with a simple yes. So once we reply that yes, the DSM agent will start executing those workflows in the sequence that was listed at the top. So since this is a much complicated workflow, we're going to give it a few more seconds to help us do that. So as a result, as you can see, it has now compiled a detailed storage overview report for us by highlighting some important items already, including comparing this month to the last month, and under volume, space, usage, drive health, all these key components included as well. And then it also sends us like a response saying, okay, the report has been sent under what subject. And when we scroll to the bottom of the reply, most importantly, it also tells us that the workflow has been scheduled for next month. Okay, so you might be wondering whether DSM agent really helped us send out that email. So we can just quickly open up our Mail Plus to see, and at the very top, the DSM agent has a freshly made email just like that. So the storage overview report that we saw and already sent out to us. All right, and the very last additional demo that I want to talk about is let's draw to end users a bit, because DSM agent isn't just designed for IT admins, it's also designed for end users like me. So what's convenient about this is, again, if today we have those multitask workflows that we want DSM agent to help us with, we can also do that. So for example, instead of IT, let's think of a scenario in sales. Okay, so my colleague, Emily, she's a sales manager and she's currently composing a QBR report. Traditionally, when I need to write a QBR report, I will need to reference loads of things as well, including maybe all of my weekly meetings that records customer deployments, or even check my, let's say, annual performance tracking sheets, or even go through my email threads with the conversations that I had with my customer. And again, when we come back to DSM agent, I can simply do the same thing. So I'll let the agent know what thing that I want it to create. So here I'm prompting it with generate my Q1 QBR report, and I also specify the sources I want it to reference, including my weekly slides, my KPI tracking spreadsheets, and it can also reference to our Chat Plus team chats. All right, so just like that, the DSM agent, again, will start executing that task for us. And you can see it recognizes all the tool needed, including collecting mail, collecting weekly slides. And so it is a transparent process showing you how the QBR report that it's going to generate is generated. So again, it's a bit of a complicated process, so we're going to give it a few more seconds. All right, so now we can see the QBR report already, the draft of it already generated, including some key components as well. And most importantly, when we come down to the bottom of the response, it also gives us that the report has been published and gives us a quick shortcut to where it has been published into your drive. So all Emily needs to do is to come into Drive and open up the draft, and here it is. So Emily, if this is a report already well structured, Emily can go ahead either just share it with her management team, or she can download it for her further edits. All right, so that is just a quick demo of how DSM agent really is designed to help us address some of the key workflows that we have, both from IT's perspective and users' perspective. All right, so let's come back to the session. But in reality, we know that organizations won't only just have one AI agent. They might not even have just one AI platform. So that's why, going forward, DSM will support integration through MCP and command line interfaces. So what this is going to do is it's going to open up DSM for organizations to connect with their existing AI agents or their customized environments. So no matter which AI application an organization uses, a Synology NAS can be a trusted knowledge hub for them to support the data needed for their AI operations. So ultimately, our vision in AI is pretty simple. We want to provide that private foundation for businesses to embrace AI in a secure way. So we want our platform to be both AI trustworthy and IT friendly by design. So it gives organizations that ability to securely leverage their AI while the entire platform can seamlessly integrate to the environment that they have already. Okay, and the second pillar of DSM is what we call enterprise ready. So alongside AI readiness, we believe enhancing our capabilities in infrastructure level is just as important. So when it comes to defining enterprise ready, we basically summarize it in these three pillars. So let's start with the first one, performance and storage efficiency. This is where we want to accommodate enterprise always growing standards, as well as making sure every bit of their storage is utilized to its maximum. And then the second pillar is management for scaling. So this is where we want to help organizations scale their storage resources without creating too much operational silos. And then third of all, as always, security and compliance. So it's about meeting higher standards into protection, governance, and security. So let's start with performance. Now, many of you are already familiar with the PAS series that we launched. So this is Synology's new flagship all-flash storage platform designed for mission-critical data. And to dive in a bit more about PAS series, it is engineered to be an active-active dual controller primary storage solution built on the AMD EPYC platform. Now, it has the capability to deliver over 2 million 4K random read IOPS and supports up to 1.6 petabytes of raw U.3 NVMe storage. And then it also is designed for extremely bandwidth-intensive environments. And also to support those mission-critical workloads, we also provide high-speed connectivity options as well as fiber channel support. So the PAS series really represents Synology stepping in to not only the primary storage field, but also bring our storage portfolio to a new performance tier. So we're very excited about that. But high performance is only part of the equation. The other side of the equation is how we can make sure every bit of the storage is used to its maximum, right? So starting from DSM 7.4, data deduplication, drive deduplication, as well as compression will be available for users to apply on both Synology SSDs and HDD volumes. And together with our latest enhancements in tiering, both of these combined will help organizations not only save high-performance storage resources on hot tier, but also optimize the capacity on the cold tier as well. Because now the colder tier the colder data now moved to the cold tier will also enjoy an automatically application of data reduction. So altogether, for hot tier and cold tier optimizations, it's a win-win situation for organizations. Now, moving on to the second pillar, this is about how we can help them add storage resources without creating bottlenecks. So here, the reason why we talk about this is because there is a common challenge that we have here customers share all the time. And when it comes to expanding their storage, they describe it as this. They say storage is easy to add, but scaling it is much harder. And the reason why there is such differentiation is because as we add new systems over time, organizations will realize that they start running different workloads on different appliances. So this is what we call creating storage silos. And an example in this scenario would be a customers that we have in manufacturing. And they have around 70 appliances running all different groups of workloads. So once that happens, it basically turns what should be a simple storage scaling project into a workload or data migration project. So to address these migration overheads, we are introducing DSM Cluster Manager. So what Cluster Manager does is that it helps IT admins to manage multiple storage resources as a single cluster. So not only it helps IT admins to gain a much centralized oversight to the infrastructure, but it will also help them move around data a lot more easy. And let me tell you why. And the reason why we are able to do that is because we changed the core of our architecture to containerized storage. So what this means is that workloads are now containerized. So it makes them less attached to the hardware system level. So you can now move around the workloads in much easier and flexible manner without traditional migration complexities. And not only workloads are now better managed, there are also a couple of different benefits to the organizations as well. So looking at the second one, basically not only IT admins can have a closer control over the workloads and the node statuses, but on top of that, from a protection point of view, it gives IT a more consistent view over what sort of protection plans or configurations that have been applied across the entire infrastructure. Okay, so the next vision demo will be about cluster manager. So instead of me describing the concept, we have prepared a preview of what cluster manager will look like and what sort of experience that users will get from cluster manager. So what you're looking at is a sneak peek of Cluster Manager. So this is where IT admins can basically group a lot of the rack mount systems all together as a single cluster. So this is a centralized portal that basically records and help IT admins keep track of the key components when it comes to monitoring, including server status, including total usage, even the performance, and as we said, protection plans as well. But as I said, the most valuable point, or one of the most valuable points of Cluster Manager is how we can easily move workloads around. So in today's demo, I'm going to show you how we can move a workload to a new host. For example, a workload that's constrained a bit with resources to a more performance-driven host. So we're going to do that. Let's come to cluster. This is basically where you get an overview of all the rack station systems that are underneath this cluster, and workload is where you get a glance of all the workloads that are managed under this cluster roof. So here we can see, because workloads are now containerized, so different types of workloads can now all be managed under this console, including NAS types, SAN types, and even packages services can be containerized as a workload. But today's demo, we are going to use this one as an example. We can tell by its CPU, memory, and throughput, it is running to its maximum a bit. So let's migrate it to a more performance-driven host. Okay, so to do so, I can simply click on this workload and click on Migrate. And this time, system will automatically suggest which destination server is the best based on your workload status. So here is already recommending us that we choose the path 7700, which is the one that I'm going to choose today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and click on Migrate. So once that is continuing the migration process, we can continue. We can also look at the throughput that the workload is on. So you can see during migration, it briefly dips. But right after that, it will start shooting up because it's gaining advantage of the new host already. And once that is complete, that basically also completes the workload migration process, just like that. Okay, so now it is added to the new host. One common concern IT usually have is whether the newly added workflow will affect the existing neighboring workloads that are on the host. We can see it's already stealing resources from other neighboring workloads. So what ITs can do is that they can apply what we call QoS settings. What this is going to do, once that is enabled, it will basically balance out the performance and resources evenly over the workloads. So when we revisit, now that is enabled, when we revisit the 4 workloads, you can see the numbers coming down to a more even status. So this really just summarizes how Cluster Manager not only gives us a more centralized sense of managing your entire infrastructure, but it also gives you not only workload management as well as performance and resource optimization features for your entire infrastructure. So, but in reality, unfortunately, organizations won't just have one cluster. They will have multiple clusters and then at multiple sites. So the next enhancement that we're doing to our existing solution is to address that multiple site deployment headaches. So in the next generation of Active Insight, we are involving it beyond monitoring. We are transforming it into a remote monitoring and management style platform. So what it's going to do is that not only we can still gain a centralized overview of the fleet health of your clusters, but now IT admins can batch deploy multiple NAS at once. So instead of manually configuring all the NASs, you can now do that on a single portal and standardize any configurations you have on an organizational level. Now that leads to our last but not least pillar in the enterprise-ready area, and that is security and compliance. Because we are seeing organizations' environments getting more and more complex. So security is no longer just about data protection. It's also about auditability, governance, and operational trust. So let's see what we have done in this area. So one major enhancement that we have done is that we have renovated our log center. So instead of logs being scattered around across different Synology or external systems, it is now all centrally managed and also recorded in unified format in our new log center. So for SMBs, this is a perfect, powerful, out-of-the-box centralized log server. But for large enterprises, it does more than that. So for large enterprises, now with that in mind, it is now able to seamlessly integrate with enterprise observability solutions. Because now, Synology not only centralizes operational and system logs, but it also normalizes it into an industry standard format that observability tools like Datadog, Elastic, and Grafana can directly consume. So in other words, Synology infrastructure can now be seamlessly integrated into any observability workflows or processes enterprise may have. And of course, other than major enhancements in Log Center, we have continuously added more protection standards on top of the security foundation that we already have. So here we're sharing a few new additions to the important layers, including on the hardware layer, we're introducing a built-in secure element as a hardware root of trust. So what this does is that it ensures identities and cryptographic keys cannot be tampered with or duplicated. And then we're also enhancing encryption standards with FIPS, with the support of FIPS 140-3 compliant cryptography. And then on the user access, building on top of the existing features, we're adding role-based access control for granular permission management. So with all of these enhancements, I think it really just reinforces our commitment into building a enterprise-grade security to our infrastructure. All right, so today we covered a lot. We covered from AI ready to enterprise ready. But what we really want to share is that we believe DSM itself is evolving alongside the future of infrastructure. And we see AI changing the way how we interact with data, but it also highlights the important role the infrastructure foundation is. And as we see enterprise environments evolve into more skilled, dynamic, advanced scenarios, we believe ensuring higher standards met in all of these categories in terms of storage efficiency, performance, skill and management, and most importantly, security will be a very important backbone in supporting infrastructures to innovate and move forward. So at the core of our vision for DSM, to summarize that into one sentence, is to build a platform that is, first of all, intelligent enough in the AI era, and then powerful enough for mission-critical workloads, and trustworthy enough for enterprise operation and security at scale. So that wraps up the first session, and it's been a pleasure sharing the beginning of Synology DSM's next chapter. And I'm Catherine. Thank you for joining our first session for today. Thank you.